Most people believe that a man who has finally reached financial comfort should want to show it. A new car in the driveway, a bigger house, the kind of lifestyle that says, "I made it." That's the assumption. And it's wrong. The senior men who have actually built lasting wealth, the ones who sleep well at night, who aren't rattled by a bad quarter or a broken furnace, are almost never the ones spending the most. They drive the same car for 12 years. They wear the same old jacket every winter. And when you ask them why, they don't talk about money at all. They talk about peace. So here's the question, worth sitting with today. If wealth doesn't buy the desire to show it off, what does a lifetime of experience actually teach a man to want instead? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire and could have surrounded himself with every luxury available to a Roman emperor, wrote something that still cuts through 2,000 years later. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Read that again. Not some things are needed, very little. And the things that matter most aren't things you can buy. Seneca, who was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, understood the trap better than most. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." He knew that wealth without discipline is just a faster way to become dependent on things outside your control. For a senior man today, this isn't ancient theory. It's Tuesday afternoon. It's deciding whether to trade in a perfectly good car because a neighbor bought a new truck. It's watching a grandson show off the latest phone and feeling, just for a second, the old pull to keep up. Stoicism doesn't ask a man to reject nice things. It asks him to notice when a want has quietly become a need, and to remember that he was never actually in danger to begin with. Epictetus put it simply, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. A man who spent 30 or 40 years earning a living learns eventually that the fewer things he requires to feel content, the more powerful he becomes. Nothing can be taken from him, because he never let it own him in the first place. There's a reason this isn't just philosophy. It's also basic human wiring, and researchers have been studying it for decades. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation. The new boat, the bigger house, the luxury vacation. They feel wonderful for a while, and then the brain adjusts. The excitement fades, and a man is left chasing the next purchase, just to feel the same lift he used to get from something much smaller. It's not weakness, it's biology. Every senior man has felt it at least once. That strange emptiness a few weeks after buying something he was sure would make him happy. Behavioral economists also talk about loss aversion, the idea that losing something hurts roughly twice as much as gaining the same thing feels good. A man who spends lavishly in his 60s or 70s isn't just risking his money. He's risking the security that took decades to build. And deep down, most senior men know exactly how painful that loss would feel. So they protect it, quietly, without needing to announce why. The Fidelity Retirement Study and the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances have both found something similar. Retirees with the greatest sense of financial peace are rarely the ones with the highest incomes. They're the ones with the lowest ratio of spending to savings. Men who learned, long before retirement, how to live comfortably below what they earned. Comfort, not display, became the goal. And this connects to something the psychologist Abraham Maslow understood, that once basic needs and safety are met, human beings don't crave more possessions. They crave self-actualization, purpose, meaning, legacy. A senior man who has already built financial safety isn't chasing status anymore, because status was never really what he wanted. He wanted to stop worrying, and once the worry is gone, so is the appetite for more. Think about the man who watches his neighbor pull into the driveway with a brand new pickup truck gleaming in the sun. 15 years ago, that same man might have felt a spark of competition. Now he just feels something closer to curiosity, maybe even quiet relief that it's not his problem. He still has the truck he bought a decade ago. It runs fine. It's paid off. And paid off, to him, sounds a lot better than impressive. Think about the retired schoolteacher who's asked by a grandson for money to fund a startup idea that sounds more like a dream than a plan. The old version of that man might have said yes immediately, afraid of disappointing someone he loves. The wiser version has learned that saying no, gently and without guilt, is sometimes the most loving thing a man can do. He's not protecting his money. He's protecting a relationship from the resentment that so often follows a loan gone wrong. Think about the man asked to co-sign a loan for a family member. He's watched this story before, with a brother-in-law or a friend from church, and he remembers how it ended. Not because he stopped caring about people, because he finally understood that real love doesn't require financial entanglement, and that saying, "I can't do that, but I'm here for you," is its own form of strength. Think about downsizing. A man sells the big house he raised his children in, and neighbors assume it must be about money troubles. It isn't. It's about a man who no longer wants to spend his Saturdays cleaning gutters on a house built for a family that's since grown up and moved away. He traded square footage for freedom, and he'd make that trade again in a heartbeat. Every one of these moments carries the same quiet truth underneath it. He isn't afraid of losing money. He refuses to become controlled by it. This is what it looks like in practice. Not grand gestures, but small, repeated choices. A man keeps his retirement numbers private, not out of secrecy, but because he's learned that money talked about becomes money argued about. He resists the urge to explain his net worth to anyone, because real wealth begins where the need to impress ends. A man teaches his grandchildren how to budget an allowance instead of simply handing them whatever they ask for, because he wants to leave them wisdom, not just inheritance. He understands that a legacy of character will outlast a legacy of cash by generations. A man spends intentionally on the things that genuinely bring him joy, a fishing trip with an old friend, a nice dinner with his wife, and feels no need to spend on anything beyond that. Because money is a tool. Freedom is the goal. And when the world around him gets louder, social media full of other people's highlight reels, family members hinting they deserve more, salespeople dressed up as friends, he remembers that the wisest senior men protect their peace before they protect their pride. Growing older was never supposed to mean becoming smaller. It means becoming harder to shake, more patient, more discreet, more at ease with having exactly enough. The senior men who seem the calmest aren't the ones with the most. They're the ones who stopped needing more to feel complete. A quiet bank account is often stronger than a loud lifestyle, and the richest senior men rarely feel the need to prove they are rich. Marcus Aurelius spent his final years writing private notes to himself, not for an audience, not for legacy, just for the discipline of thinking clearly. Perhaps that's the truest measure of a wise man, what he does when no one's watching, and how little he needs anyone to notice. So we'd love to hear from you. What's the greatest money lesson life has taught you? What financial habit changed your retirement for the better? And what boundary do you refuse to compromise, no matter who asks? Share it in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what another man needs to hear today. If this video gave you something worth thinking about, give it a like, subscribe for more reflections like this one, and share it with another senior man who values wisdom over status. Seek wisdom, protect your peace, leave a legacy,